Okay, Brucham Abba, welcome everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Agan Chodesh, Agan Erev Shabbos. We have some amazing material today. We're going to begin with Semuchim Miyad, connecting Parshas Toldos with the end of Chayei Sara. Now, this one I had in my back pocket for a number of weeks. I'm taking you now to our email. If you're not yet subscribed, you could go to our site, RabbiDG.com, and you could get the Marmakoimos every week. Okay, so the Parshas Chayei Sara ends off describing the family of Yishmael, and then it says, Al pnei kol echav nafal, on the face of all of his brothers he fell. And then it says, Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak ben Abraham. So the Baal HaTurim says that there's a connection between the juxtaposition of Al pnei kol echav nafal and Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak. Namely, when Yishmael will fall in the end of days, then Ben David will flourish, who is from the Toldos of Yitzchak. That's a famous Baal HaTurim, that Al Pnei Kol Echav Nafal Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak. By the way, the Baal HaTurim seems to support the opinion in the Gemara that there's a machlokes in the end of days, who will defeat who? Will Rome defeat Persia, or Persia will defeat Rome? The Maral says that Persia refers to Yishmael, and the Gemara says in the end of days there's a battle between the West and the East, between Rome, the United States of America, and Persia. And the Baal HaTurim seems to indicate that when Yishmael falls, then Mashiach will come. That seems to indicate that Yishmael is the last man standing. But let's broaden this a little bit. The end of Chayei Sara, it says, Ve'ela Toldos Yishmael ben Abraham, and it goes through all the progeny of Yishmael and it counts them, and it talks about their downfall. And then after talking about the Toldos of Yishmael, it talks about the Toldos of Yitzchak. The Chizkuni also explains it, that above, at the end of Chayei Sara, it talked about the Toldos of Yishmael, after the Toldos of Bnei Keturah, and now it's telling us about the Toldos of Yitzchak. The Ibn Ezra also mentions that there's a hemshach between Toldos Yishmael and Toldos Yitzchak. The Rashbam says that Lefi Pshutoi Shal Mikra, that above it says by Yishmael ben Abraham Asher Yolda Hagar, that the contrast is as follows. By Yishmael, he is the product of Abraham and Hagar. But Yitzchak is not the product of Abraham and a Shivcha. Yitzchak is the product of Abraham. He's Abraham, so to speak, made him by himself, meaning from his wife, from Ishtoi Gemura. Hagar was not Abraham's Ishtoi Gemura. So by Yishmael, he's Eila Toldos Yishmael ben Abraham Asher Yolda Hagar. But by Yitzchak, he's the product of Abraham and his whole wife. That's the disparity between Yitzchak and Yishmael. Yishmael is the product of Abraham and a non-full wife. The Tzrar Hamar also says that because above it talked about the Toldos of Yishmael, who are all Rishayim, so it juxtaposes, these are the descendants of Yitzchak who are righteous. Now, why does the Baal HaTurim say that when Yishmael falls in the end of days, then Ben David will flourish? Why does Yitzchak represent Ben David? How is Yitzchak Ben David? Why of all the avos is Yitzchak a reference to the Achros Hayamim? First of all, we know that in the end of days Yitzchak will bail us out. The Gemara says he's the one who will give the winning argument to Hashem, Palgi alai u palgi alecha. Also, there's an idea that the word Yitzchak is oisios kates chai, the end is alive. Yitzchak reflects the end of days. In the Sefer Doiresh Semuchim, he brings in his second shot interesting connection that Hashem promised Abraham that his children will proliferate and he'll give his descendants Eretz Yisrael. And Rashi explained at the end of Chayei Sara, Al Pnei Kol Echav Nafal, that the Bnei Yishmael have a great nefila. So you'll ask, if the Bnei Yishmael have a great nefila, and by the way, Rashi there says that when Abraham died, all the descendants of Yishmael had an Afilah, so then with whom will Hashem fulfill his promise of success and blessing? So therefore it juxtaposes right away. Even though Yishmael fell, Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak. Yitzchak will be the vehicle through which the blessings of Abraham will be fulfilled. Okay. In the Sefer, Vayikach Yaakov Even, of Rabbi Yaakov Kili, he explains the juxtaposition of Chayei Sara to Toldos based on the following remez. The last word of Chayei Sara is nafal. Nafal is Rashi Tevois Pizar Nasan Lo Evyoinim. Nafal Pizar Nasan Lo Evyoinim. And he explains as follows. Pizar Nasan Lo Evyoinim, that's a pasuk that describes tzedakah. Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak ben Abraham. You know, in whom there is ingrained this genetic code to do and give tzedakah. Nafal, Pizar, Nasan Lo Avyoinim, to who? Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak. As we know that Klal Yisrael are Goim Lechasadim B'nei Goim Lechasadim. Then he brings another beautiful idea, that we know that in the merit of tzedakah, tzedakah brings the geula. It brings the Mashiach. So, Nafal, Pizar, Nasan Lo Evyoinim, and then it says, Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak, which the Balaturim says is a remez to the tzmicha of Ben David in the end of days. Now, there are a number of Perushim from Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi of Izmir, in his Sefer Semuchim La'ad, and he says that earlier on in Chayei Sara, it talks about the Toldos of Yishmael, and all of them were Rishaim. You know why? Because they came from Abraham when Abraham was an Arel. They came from Abraham when Abraham was an Arel. And had Abraham fathered them when he was a Mahul, then his progeny would have been proper, just like the progeny of Yitzchak. So therefore, it juxtaposes the Toldos of Yishmael were not proper because of the state of Abraham at the time. But Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak, why Ben Abraham? Why were they tzaddikim? Because Abraham hoyled es Yitzchak with a hey. What does the hey reflect? It reflects Abraham's status of having the milah. And the Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi also says an idea that the Bnei Yishmael were not proper because they were fathered by Abraham when he was an Arel. But the Bnei Yitzchak are proper. This is an amazing perush. We all know that Rashi says, why does it repeat? Ve'ela Toldos Yitzchak ben Abraham, Abraham hoyled es Yitzchak. Because there were Leitzanei Hadar who said that Mi Avimelech nisabra Sara, that Avimelech fathered Yitzchak. So therefore the Torah is made that no, it was Abraham. But how do we know it was Abraham? Obviously, look at the descendants of Yishmael. The descendants of Yishmael were not proper. Why were they not proper? Because they were fathered by Abraham when Abraham was an Arel. So why are the descendants of Yitzchak proper? Because they were fathered by Abraham when Abraham was a Mahol. So obviously that indicates that Abraham that it's not Me Avimelech Nisabra Sara. Okay? That is offering of Semuchim Miyad.